Hi, my name is Anthony, and today I'm reading to you my story, Fabulous Flaw-Finding Phil. Stick around after the story. I'll give you a little bit of a background as to its origins. Fabulous Flaw-Finding Phil. He strolls purposefully through the chaotic food court. He had promised himself to nurture calmness, but a hunter in the jungle is incapable of navel-gazing. A woman stuffs her lunch rubbish into the bright yellow bin. "That's for recycling," he says. He points to the red bin. "Try that one next time." She does not look at him or even acknowledge him, but she does hesitate. He moves to an outdoor area, chicken schnitzel focaccia in hand. To the left sit two policemen having lunch. Opposite them sits an attractive but somewhat class-starved young woman, busy talking at them, it seems, and not to them. He chooses the table closest to them, curiosity having stung him, sun streaming from its 1:34 p.m. position. Pide virtually untouched in front, she peels sentence-less about her rude colleague and how he never says hello. The men watch and listen, seemingly. Or perhaps they're simply watching those light-refracting pushed-up bosoms. It's hard to be certain. Phil tackles his focaccia, trying to unravel more, but finds her soliloquy tiresome. He soon tunes out. He observes the traffic. The law-breaking fools distract him, as is often the case. The system would work perfectly if people managed to follow the basic procedures: awareness, speed limit, indicate, and so on. It's the 10% that tarnishes the game board. Maybe 20. She's finally stopped talking. It's her colleague's turn, the one with the beard. Within seconds, she's turned her attention to her phone, scanning and replying. It seems that only the other policeman is taking stock. Our man Phil studies her. It's not a message check. She's thumb-browsing. Almost a minute passes before Phil makes his play. He redirects his chair to face them. Her tits are nice. Pity. "I've got to say," he says, "I love the irony." The two men turn to him. The woman shifts her eyes but not her head. "You were just complaining that your rude colleague doesn't say hi to you, and yet these gentlemen just listen to your story, and as soon as it's their turn, you're straight to your phone. That's the definition of irony, perfectly displayed. Textbook, really." "Do you know him?" asks beardless cop. "No," she cries with an upward inflection like a grossed-out child. "All right, mate, take off." Forgive the pun there. Facebook, textbook, texting, delicious. "What is your problem?" she says. "You're so full of shit." "I could possibly be, after this focaccia." Beardless cop stands. "Let's see your driver's license, please." "I don't drive, officer." Phil doesn't take his eyes off her. "Too many idiots on their phones." "What a rude prick," she says. "More irony, thank you." Phil is made to show his identification, including his driver's license. "My focaccia is getting cold." "Should have kept your mouth shut then, huh?" she says, phone still in palm. "Focaccia you." "Watch it, mate." "I didn't swear, officer. I don't believe I've crossed any legal line." Regardless, Phil receives a customary grilling. He takes it on the chin. Give them what they want and it will pass, which it does soon enough. His objective already reached. While being questioned, she's back to her phone. What a waste of effort. The lesson is lost. Thursday and Friday are his days off. It's a mixed blessing. He enjoys not working when everyone else does, but he also encounters the rush, which eventually brings out the mindless moron in seemingly rational people. The thing is, the dual cop interrogation now on repeat. It's how his head works. The way that they conducted themselves was so accusatory, so patronising. On the way home, he encounters a council worker, noisily blowing leaves with his phallic symbolised machine. "Hey mate," Phil signals. The man switches the machine off. "You realise that you're just moving those leaves around, right? Any wind that comes along and it's back to where they started again." "Huh." The noise returns. Phil shouts, "Get a broom and save us all a headache." He moves on, mumbling. Street sweeping was a trade. Now those sweeper trucks blow their shit over everyone's cars. Fuck it. Let's just 3D print a skyscraper and be done with tradies altogether. The next situation occurred the following morning, a Friday, Phil's Sunday. A rare but enthusiastic morning stroll around the park pumps the blood. It gives rise to a range of thoughts, ideas, plans, one of which is chemically based. And there's no eliminating that once it surfaces. Not fully. It's like a reality TV selfie vlogger version of the Loch Ness Monster. Nowhere to hide, especially as, in modern terms, it seeks the opposite. Yep, the monster is up and gasping. You could be assuming one of two scenarios here, so let's just see which one it becomes. He enters his apartment building and pushes the button on the only lift, ardently seeking his slice of sanctuary on level 4. The lift makes its way from level 7, but it soon stops at 3. It's 8:30ish, no doubt workers en route to the grind. It lingers and remains stationary, longer than he's ever witnessed. Patience is a virtue, they say, but right now his dump truck is reaching full capacity and it's ready for the tray to tip. He's busting for privacy. Someone's got to be holding the door open. Waiting for another? A family member? Some cunt. This is ridiculous. If he yells at the doors, they could probably hear him up the shaft. For God's sake, it's like he's back in primary school, with the time between needing to go and having to go being mere seconds. It was that bloody homemade fruit smoothie. Never again. With each passing second, there's the expectation that the lift will start to descend, hence his hesitation to yell out. Surely any second now. Another resident behind him, an older Asian woman, holding her up too. How selfish. The number on the lift abruptly changes to 2. About time. Number 2. He appreciates the irony, but not as much as he normally would. This is urgent now. How dare they? 1. Oh yes, he's going to let them have it. He manoeuvres to block the doors as they slide open. Inside is a man, 30s, Australian, also a woman, Asian, Chinese, younger. Ah, that's it. He was waiting for his girlfriend. Phil blocks the doors. I thought the lift was broken. Thank God you're okay. Yep. Phil does not shift. Are you sure you're okay? Should I call the paramedics to give you an oxygen check? I mean, you could have had a claustrophobic fit with all that time in there. No, excuse me, says the suited Caucasian. Anxiety is a strange beast, panic attacks. Yeah, I'm late from work, so can you move out? No wonder you're late. So much time in the lift. He's tormenting himself more than them, but there's a point to be made and they're damn well going to get it. I said, excuse me? Yeah, I'm late too, for a dump, but you don't seem to give a shit about that. Pun intended. What the hell? The girlfriend steps forward. Move. She pushes past. Her older partner quickly takes up her slipstream. As long as you're okay, echoes Phil. The two of you star-spinning wonders? He enters the lift, the befuddled elderly Chinese woman reluctantly following him. Do you know those two? He asks. She does not look at him. A gift to mankind, they are. Centre of the universe. Despite his flippancy, Phil realises he's in serious trouble. He shuffles to the rear of the lift and forces his butt cheeks against the wall. The woman presses 3. Number 4, if you please. She ignores him. 4, push 4 for fuck's sake. Alas, he cannot move to do it himself. It seems she is ignoring him deliberately, for who knows what reason. 4, please, please. The lift stops and she exits without a glance. The immediate threat eliminates his anger. He's screwed. He has to move forward in order to hit the button of choice. Only one floor, goddammit. He takes half a step forward. The slimy, slithering snake is snoopy and more soupy than seasoned. Oh shit. Bum back to the wall. It's bad. He's forced to slide up against the wall, awkwardly into the corner and on towards the control panel. How will he make it from the lift door to his door? Cross that bridge. Sliding. Reaching. Here he goes. Lift is descending. Ah, fuck! All hope lost. Phil, or more precisely, his treacherous arsehole, betrays him with all its power and horror. Oh my God. 33 minutes later, Phil redresses after his shower, his trashed jeans in the laundry sink, and more than likely heading for the bin. The world is filled with idiocy and self-absorption. Whoever termed Fool's Paradise had more wisdom than Socrates. No wonder the poor bastard killed himself. Talk about self-sacrifice in order to make a statement. Phil had followed in the great Greek's footsteps. It wasn't worth it, was it? Then he smiles. And suddenly he's laughing his ass off. Literally. In aged care there's an anomaly called sundowning. Many dementia patients come alive in the mid-afternoon. By 4:34, the moment Phil's left the building, he was well and truly worked up. Admittedly, it was a chaotic intersection at the best of times. Recent events, aside from the explosion of self, had him on edge. Not so much the cop mini-interrogation or the lift shit. He could deal with that just fine, as it was a justifiable stance, and who doesn't feel satisfied with treading the path of the righteous? Shame can last forever, but only one had been witness to his shitstorm, the dishevelled Sri Lankan chap from Level 2, and he wasn't exactly an aromatic representative from Chanel No. 5. No. What had really bothered him that afternoon was the Lebanese woman he had passed on the way back down the street. He'd been hoping to see her around again, as she had said that she was a local, but it had been weeks, 6, 7, since their first and only meeting. It had been a chance encounter at the local park. The 10-minute conversation which followed felt like 30 minutes or even longer. In fact, he had thought of little else for days after. So, when he saw her again, that very day, he lit up like a blood transfusion. And you know what? Despite her apparent recognition, she had recognised him all right. She merely half smirked, more of a sneer, a cringe. Yet not a word, not a single word. What was her game? What had he done wrong? Nothing. It was nasty, cruel. It made no sense. Had he said something at the end of that conversation to cause this turnabout? Their interaction was brief, but the replays and imagining scenarios in the weeks that followed was literally a relationship in bloom for Phil. He entered the pedestrian crossing. His defences were already to the fore, due to the female driver of the car and her companion sitting 3/4 over the pedestrian line. A good 50+ people must step around them and potentially into traffic. Why were they so calm about it? The car behind her had realised her error and allowed a gap for her to correct it. The offer not taken for her to reverse. Too busy chatting to her young passenger. The injustice could not be allowed to pass unaddressed. As he slowly passed the cars, his eyes drilled into her until she noticed him. He raised his right hand in reference to her questioning, seemingly lost on her. She turned her lips up in disgust. He stops. "Why don't you back up?" She waves her hand in defiance. Who is this shitpickle? He reads her indignation, her instinctive hatred, her rejection. "Why don't you back up? So selfish." Her chin protrudes, knuckles seize. Her domineering brother rises in her mind's eye. Her spiteful teacher returns. She doesn't have to put up with this shit. She's an adult now. She's in charge. Plus, her friend next to her is a conduit to the wider network. They will all know. Her spine electrifies. That Aussie fuck. She pumps the accelerator, ever so briefly, just to scare the dick. Something jars. Foot on brake. A scream. People staring now. Something in front. More screams. Pointing at her. Yelling. Did she? Now she engages. Reverse. The car behind. A metre or two. A bump. More screams. Oh God, she's hit something. Run over. Backwards. And forwards too? Screams. Shouting. Anarchy erupts. Phil treads casually away. Not his pantomime to own. People need to take responsibility. He's been proven right. The crazies are in charge of the funny farm, but it's the same ones who handed over control. A single fool can ruin 100. The proof is in his pudding. He's the modern-day superhero. Undercover, unnoticed, unappreciated, unloved. The price of truth is never more costly than to the whistleblower. Let no good deed go unpunished. The world will benefit, ultimately, yet some poor fucker has to get their hands dirty, and Phils are filthy. Such is life. The origins of the story. A lot of that was based on my own observations, and I did live in an apartment building on level 4, and the lift can be quite frustrating. I guess it's about finding community living somewhat frustrating at times. I think, we've all felt that. Phil was a little bit too observational, expecting everyone to do the right thing all the time. But, he makes some pretty good points. Those leaf blowers are bloody annoying. People are selfish. People do pay more attention to their phones. People are full of hypocrisy. All those things. There's quite a lot in there, really. He's quite a character, Phil. I kind of like the guy, really. Pity he had to shit himself in the lift, though. The story is in pseudostars, which you can find on my website, anthonyjlangfordbooks.com. The book has a lot of stories, some of them, a bit like that, a bit of a comedy, a bit of a tragedy, a bit of satire, a bit of social commentary. That's all in that one story. Anyway, thanks for listening today, and I hope you'll tune in again. Cheers.